All right, so our lesson today is all about the topic of ideation, which we discussed briefly in the overview of our first unit. And the goal for this lesson is that we want to start to identify or go through the process of identifying problems that are worth solving. Now, it's very easy for many of us to identify problems. The problems associated with the current learning environment, the problems associated with the pandemic. Um, and that's great. But the really important thing is that the problems that are worth solving. But what does that mean? It's not to say that every problem isn't worth solving. There's a reason it's a problem, and we want to make our lives better. But from a business perspective, and then the context of starting a business, which is the idea here for the first unit, is we have to look at what kind of problems are worth solving from a business perspective that are going to be worth our time, our energy, our efforts, our resources. And we also have to think about, do people really even want this problem solved? As annoying as it might be, maybe some people are just okay with dealing with the problem or not having a solution to the problem because they're not willing to pay money for it, or it's just not that big of an inconvenience. So we really want to think about what are the problems that are worth solving, right? We're going to do that in a couple of different ways. So we got to think about and answer the question, where do some great ideas come from? The first way in which we can come up with ideas is we can focus on problems. And we can do that by generating lists of problems that you feel are worth solving. So an example might be, I stink after PE class, or maybe you can't find a tutor to fit your schedule. Or maybe if you're trying a new sports, some of the equipment intensive sports, hockey and lacrosse and things like that. That's really expensive. Now, those are some problems that are worth solving. Now, the images on the bottom kind of represents problems that we don't want to necessarily focus on when we go through this activity. Oh my gosh, my friend didn't text me back or something. Or, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. Those are much more like pet peeves than they are problems worth solving. Or my sibling is really annoying or won't leave me alone. Or the homework, the amount of homework I have, or the type of homework that I get. Those are going to be very kind of individualized. We want to focus on problems that a large group of people could be having. All right. So the other way that we could do it is we can be what's called customer focused. What we can do is we can put ourselves in the shoes or empathize of a customer segment and think about the various needs they have. And so on the right there, you have two examples of customer segments or customer groups. We have golfers and new teachers. Now, not necessarily golfers that are new teachers. It's just A, golfers, and B, new teachers. So if you think about, if I could put myself in a golfer's shoes, some problems that a golfer might have. They lose their golf balls. Golf is an expensive sport. These are problems. I'm not trying to solve any problems for these golfers yet because I don't know what the solution is. And I also don't know what the problems are. Maybe there's some problems associated with the equipment. Maybe there's some problems associated with the apparel or footwear, or the way in which you play the game, or just starting to play the game. New teachers, obviously, they are going to have some work in the classroom management and curriculum instruction areas, but also maybe a new teacher is right out of college and they need help budgeting their money, or maybe they're paying rent or paying bills for the first time. Those might be some problems that we have. Now, very simply, we could also look at ideas for starting a business and think about what jobs need to get done and how they can be done better, faster, with fewer struggles. And we talked about this early on with our entrepreneurial challenge of, are there jobs out there? Are there services that I could provide for people that I could do right now? Where else do great ideas come from? Well, I could think about a value proposition, or I could ask, what if I could make something better or do something better, faster, or less expensive? These are really great questions to ask, because are they always going to lead to a business idea? Maybe not, but at least they're going to get us thinking about a problem that exists. What if I didn't have to go to the post office to return my online purchases? What if my windows weren't frozen if I park outside in the winter? What if I didn't have to waste time waiting in line during lunch? And what if I knew the best time to leave for class? Now, that one might obviously be a little bit out of order right now because we're not in the building. But those of us have been in the building before, it's crowded. The last part is we talk about trends and forces at play. Where do great ideas come from? Let's take advantage of a new and emerging theme or trend and capitalize on the opportunity. Remote learning and distance learning is certainly a trend, whether we like it or not. It is somewhat pervasive throughout certainly our community, but also across the country. So are there opportunities for me to take advantage of that? Climate change is a trend that businesses are either starting because of it or businesses are adapting their current business model to it, using more environmental friendly products. Some businesses are getting rid of their plastic straws. Some businesses are dedicating to using limiting non-renewable energy resources. Vintage style clothing. A lot of people want to wear clothes that look like it's 20 or 30 years old, whether it's distressed or it just has a very soft, kind of worn out feel to it. All natural food and beverage, organic, farm to table. Consumers are willing to pay more money for those all natural products. Luxury brands, besides the designer luxury brands of the Gucci's and brands like that, you also see everything from sneakers to watches, all sorts of clothing apparel. So how can we take advantage of something that consumers are willing to do or maybe even forced into right now? And how can we turn that into a business opportunity? So what you're going to do after watching this video, you guys are going to be in groups and you guys are going to work together to kind of go through each one of these categories and go through this ideation process to see if we can come up with some ideas for a business.